This is the story of Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela is just this gigantic festival, millions of people are coming, and one of the really challenging and interesting parts of it, and probably my favourite part, is setting up. You go there before the Kumbh, there's nothing around. It's just a flat, this was in Allahabad, it's on the riverbed of the Ganga, and it's just this endless riverbed where in advance they've put some steel plates for roads and some power poles and the electric connections. And then everyone comes and creates their camps on the land that they've been allotted. Now, we have a really big camp, so it's hard, and especially at that time, because it was the first times that we were coming, it's hard to get a big area of land because it's so crowded. And on the bathing days there's going to be 30 million people there, so they're all staying somewhere. It's a lot of camps, and a big challenge for the administration also. Part of the other problem is that at this time, maybe nowadays it's improved, but at that time the corruption of the administration was quite high. And in order to get your land early, you had to pay something, which we weren't going to do, because it was just not in our, it's not in our mentality, but also just wasn't a policy of the ashram. So every day we were going and trying to get out of the administration office, which is a huge organisation in itself because they're set up to take care of this temporary city. And they were putting us off every day. They very subtly would just say, yeah, we haven't got time today, come tomorrow. We haven't got time today, come tomorrow. And for us, time was really ticking away because we had 2 weeks until our group came with 300 people, and we had to put something up that they could stay in. And eventually one day it was just getting ridiculous. It was going on and on and on. And I said to Premananji, who was with me, I said, let's go for lunch and then we'll come back and we'll do something here. And we went into the city and I went to one restaurant, and there I was eating really a lot, and of this tandoori roti, which for me, I can't digest very well. They stay in my system for ages. And I ate, and Premananji's kind of looking at me and what's he on about? And then I said, okay, let's go back. The other thing that was happening at that time was it was 2 weeks before the Kumbh Mela, but for some reason all the media had turned up early. And that was the international media, from all this Reuters and Associated Press and the BBC and the CNN and so on. They all had reporters there, and there was nothing to report on because there was nobody there yet and nothing was happening. There was just empty space. And so we went back to this office of what's called the collector, who is the head administrator of the whole thing. And I said, Premananji, I'm going in his office and I'm going to sit on the floor and do my mala and just meditate. And then you know what to do. And he knew what to do. And so I went and sat there on the floor, and other things were going on, and people were coming and meeting the collector and doing their things and so on. And I'm sitting there on the floor, and Premananji was sitting to one side and reading his book. And eventually the collector called him and said, what's he doing? And Premananji said, well, he's on hunger strike and he's not going to eat or drink water until we get our land. And then he kind of paused a little bit, and I'm listening and trying not to laugh because Premananji's a pretty good actor. And then he said, and think about it, there's all this media outside from the international media and they've got no story. How good will it be when this foreign guy is sitting in your office and fasting because he can't get land? And the collector sort of thought about it and dialed on his phone, and 5 minutes later we were in the car, in his car, with him and the head of the police for the Kumbh Mela and their assistants and their second assistants, and we were all filing along on this convoy as they took us to what they thought would be our land, and saying, take this land, take this land, take this land, but no hunger strikes. And then Premananji kind of paused a bit and looked at it and just said, it's too small. And then, and they kind of went off and had a little meeting again, and they're talking away and hands are waving and God knows what was happening and so on. And then they took us to another land which was much bigger, and it was really good. And Premananji said, yeah, it's good, but it's so uneven. It'll need to be levelled. So eventually, by the end of all this negotiation, we had this great piece of land, and it was huge, And they agreed to give us 10 tractors that would level the land until we were satisfied, which went for 4 or 5 days. And they just sort of went, now please, no more hunger strike. And that was it.